My girlfriend admitted that she had cheated. I needed a real man, she smiled. When she said it, straight to my face, without a single tremor in her voice. It took me a while to realize that she had just burned to the ground everything we had built over the past 3 years. I needed a real man, she said, smiling wryly as if she had just won an argument. And you, Alex, you're good. You're just not real. She stood across from me in the kitchen, holding a glass of cheap Chardonnay that we had been binge-watching Netflix together the night before. The sun was breaking through the blinds, cutting her face into strips of light and shadow like a sentence, like a protocol. I didn't say anything. I couldn't, because when a person breaks your spine, you don't scream at first. You just don't feel anything. It happened once. Well, maybe twice. But that's not the point. He made me feel alive, like a woman. And with you, I was still silent. But my thoughts were jumping around like a crazy ping pong in my head. We lived together. I paid the rent when she had no money. I drove her to her parents' house in Oregon. I listened to her nightly tantrums after work. Was I not real? With you, I felt like in a home for nice boys. And I needed a predator. Risk. Chemistry. Something real. That's when I realized it wasn't just the end. It was a blow below the belt. And I should have fallen. But for some reason I didn't. Who? I finally asked. The voice was quiet, almost calm. She took a sip of her wine. You know him. Scott. And, yes, your friends know. They say I was right. That you need a college girl who loves your essays and listens to Bon Iver. Not someone like me. Not a woman who knows what she wants. I squeezed my fingers until my knuckles were white. Scott. My childhood friend. He was at my house at least 3 times a week. We shared the console, beer, and memories of our stupid youth. And now he shared something else with me. My girlfriend. My Diana. And my friends, our friend supported her. Her. And something clicked in me. Not despair. Not anger. Something different. Quiet. Cold. Like ice at the bottom of a glass after bourbon. Translated with deepl.com. Free version. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the porch with a bottle of wild turkey and the kind of silence that presses into your skull. The crickets chirped like nothing happened. The wind moved through the trees like it didn't give a damn. And the stars, they were out in full force like some kind of cruel joke. Because everything around me was so damn peaceful. Except me. Inside, her suitcase was already packed. She said she'd stay at Sienna's place until she could move in with him. Him. Scott. My best friend since sophomore year. The guy who used to crash on my couch after bad dates. The guy who helped me bury my dog. Turns out he was burying something else behind my back. I thought about calling someone. My brother, maybe, or Ben. But Ben was probably already in the group chat. You know, the one where they joke about how soft I am. About how I could have seen it coming. Hell, maybe I could have. I was always the listener, the fixer, the dependable one. The guy who paid the bar tab and drove everyone home. The guy who never made a scene. That was the old me. The new me? He was about to be born. I showed up at the Rusty Lantern the next night. That was our bar. Hers, mine, Scott's. All of them. Friday night. Lights low. Live band, playing Springsteen covers like they were trying to summon ghosts. I wore black. I shaved. I didn't drink. I walked straight in like I was bulletproof, even though inside I was bleeding out. And they were all there. Scott in his leather jacket. Diane sitting close like she already belonged to him, laughing at something he said like nothing had happened. Ben. Marcus. Even Jenny, the one who told me Diane was too wild for me back in the beginning, was now sipping tequila and nodding along to her betrayal like it was karaoke night. When they saw me, the laughter thinned. Diane didn't even flinch. She sipped her drink, looked me right in the eyes. Scott raised his glass. Ben smiled. Hey, man, you good? I walked up to the table, slow, like in the movies. I'm good, I said. Real good. Just came to say thank you. Ben looked confused. Scott narrowed his eyes. Diane tilted her head. For what? She asked, voice flat, mocking. For reminding me what kind of people I was surrounded by. I let that hang for a second. The music faded behind me, like the world itself was leaning in to listen. You know, I added, you guys always said I was too quiet, too soft, too good. Yeah, well, Scott muttered, being good doesn't mean you're strong. I smiled. Not the kind of smile you give to friends. The kind you give right before you walk away from a burning building. No. But being quiet, I said, stepping back. That just means you're watching. And I've been watching for a long time. I left before anyone could respond. Before Diane could roll her eyes or Scott could puff up his chest. I left the ashes behind. Because tomorrow, they'd see who I really am. 3 weeks after the bar, I moved out. I didn't tell anyone. Just packed my stuff into my '07 Ford Ranger at 3 a.m., left the keys on the kitchen counter, and drove. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. I ended up in a town about an hour north. A ghost place with one diner, a gun store, and a hardware shop that closed by 5. Rent was cheap, people kept to themselves, and no one asked questions. That suited me just fine. I got a job stacking pallets at a warehouse just off the highway. Night shifts. No conversations. Just the rhythm of steel-toed boots on concrete and the hum of forklifts. My hands blistered. My back ached. But the pain felt clean. Earned. And every night I trained. Push-ups. Pull-ups. Running miles under the moonlight until my lungs burned. I started boxing again at an old gym with peeling paint and a trainer named Gus who didn't ask for my story. Just barked orders like I was a soldier he was rebuilding from bones. You fight like someone stole your soul, Gus said one night, handing me water after 12 rounds on the bag. I didn't answer, just took the bottle, nodded, and hit the bag again. Harder. 3 months passed. I cut contact with everyone. Diane texted twice. The first was, "You've disappeared. You okay?" The second came a week later. "I heard you're training. Are you seriously turning this into a revenge arc?" I didn't reply to either, because it wasn't about her anymore. Not really. It was about how I let myself become the background character in my own life. About how I allowed people to mistake my kindness for weakness, my loyalty for obedience. That ends now. The reckoning wasn't a single act. It was a process, a fire that started slow and quiet, building heat until it couldn't be ignored. I wasn't looking to burn them down. No, I was going to rise, bigger, smarter, colder, and let them feel the difference. 6 months in, I started posting again. Not words, never words. Just pictures. A bloody hand wrap, a broken heavy bag, a trail in the woods with footprints punched deep into the snow. And the one that hit hardest, a photo of me standing shirtless under a streetlight after a midnight run, sweat and steam rising from my back like smoke from forge. They saw it. I knew they did. Jenny liked it. Ben followed again. Even Sienna sent a message. "Wow, didn't expect this version of you." I didn't reply. Let them wonder. Let them squirm. Then, one night, Gus pulled me aside. His eyes were serious. The kind of serious that made your skin go tight. "You're good," he said. "Better than good. You ever think about putting it to use? What, like fighting? Fighting. Competing. Proving." I thought about it. About stepping into a ring. About letting everything I'd built finally explode into something real. And I smiled. "Yeah," I said. "I think I'm ready." Because this wasn't just about healing anymore. It was about making them regret ever doubting what I was capable of. The first time I stepped into the cage, the world got quiet. Not the kind of quiet that comes with peace, the kind that comes before the lightning hits. It was a local underground fight. Not sanctioned. No contracts. No lights. Just a circle of chain-link fence in the back of a rundown mechanic shop, beer-soaked concrete, and a crowd hungry for blood. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about the rules. I just wanted to feel what it was like to hit something that hit back. They called me Quiet Man. Someone shouted it during warm-up because I hadn't spoken to anyone, and it stuck. People laughed. A few mocked me. But when the bell rang, no one was laughing. My opponent was a thick guy with tattoos crawling up his neck and the eyes of a man who'd never worked a day sober. He came at me like I was some rookie, some nobody. Threw haymakers like he was trying to end it early. I dodged, waited, watched, and then I hit him with a right hook that dropped him like a puppet with the strings cut. 2 minutes. That's how long it took. I walked out of that cage with blood on my knuckles and silence in the room. Nobody mocked me after that. Over the next 2 months, I fought 5 more times. 5 wins. 5 finishes. Word spread. They stopped calling me Quiet Man as a joke. Now it was with respect. Fear, even. I trained harder. Cut distractions. My life was reduced to 3 things: gym, fight, sleep. I stopped checking my phone. Stopped caring what anyone thought. But the universe has a cruel sense of timing. One night, after my sixth win, Gus walked over to me in the locker room. He had that look again, the one that meant something was about to shift. "You got a visitor," he said. "Didn't think you did visitors." I frowned. "I don't." He jerked his thumb toward the back exit. "Then this one must be real special." It was raining outside, the kind of rain that feels like it's trying to drown the whole world. She was standing under the awning, soaked through, hair clinging to her face. Leather jacket, red eyes. Diane. She didn't say anything at first, just looked at me, like she couldn't decide if she was angry or sorry or both. "You changed," she finally said. I shrugged. "Yeah, that's what happens when you break a man open." She flinched a little. "I never wanted to break you, Alex. I didn't think you had this in you. That makes two of us." She stepped closer, rain pounding on the pavement around us. "Scott's a mess," she said. "He drinks. He fights with everyone. Says you've made him paranoid. Good. He thinks you're out to ruin him." I looked her in the eye. Calm. Clear. "I'm not out to ruin anyone. I'm just becoming the man no one believed I could be." She bit her lip. "You know, part of me misses who you used to be." "I don't." I turned and walked back into the building, leaving her in the rain. Because this wasn't her story anymore. It was mine, and it had just begun. After Diane showed up, the air shifted. The fights kept coming, and I kept winning. But now, there were eyes on me that didn't belong to the usual crowd. Men in leather jackets with clean shoes. Agents sniffing around like wolves outside a fence. Promoters with thin smiles and fat wallets. And whispers. Whispers about the quiet man. But the real noise? That came from back home. It started with Ben messaging me again. Not a casual hey, but a whole damn paragraph. "Bro, I don't know what's happening, but Scott's losing it. He keeps saying you're coming for him. He smashed a TV last week. Got into it with Sienna at the Lantern. You should talk to him before he does something stupid." I didn't answer. Let them stew in the silence. Let them feel what it's like to scream into a void. But it wasn't long before silence turned into noise I couldn't ignore. One night, after a match, blood on my lip, adrenaline still pumping, I came back to my apartment to find the door slightly open. Instinct kicked in. I scanned everything. The hallway, the shadows, the smell in the air, stale sweat, cheap beer, and cologne I hadn't worn since college. Scott's cologne. I stepped inside, slow, careful. My place was trashed. Couch cushions torn. Dresser flipped. Old photos ripped from the wall and scattered like corpses after a riot. In the middle of it all, a picture, framed once, now cracked but still standing on the floor like a silent witness. Me and Scott, arms around each other. Senior year, back when we were still brothers. I stared at it. Then I picked it up and crushed it in my hand. Next morning, I went to Gus. "I need a favor," I said. He didn't ask questions, just nodded. "How big?" "Big enough to find a man before he finds me." Gus had connections. Military. Underground. The kind of men who didn't call the cops, because the cops were the ones who called them when they couldn't fix something. By sunset, he had a location. Scott had holed up in a dive motel just off Route 8. He wasn't hiding. He was waiting, spinning out, talking to ghosts. I didn't go to him. Not yet. Instead, I fought again. And this time, it wasn't just to win. It was to send a message. 3 rounds in a sanctioned event. Packed venue. Cameras. Bloodthirsty crowd. I didn't just beat my opponent. I broke him. Precision. Power. No mercy. And after the ref pulled me off and raised my hand, I looked dead into the nearest camera and spoke for the first time in a fight. Just one sentence. "This is what happens when you betray the wrong man." That clip went viral. Overnight, my name blew up. Not just in fighting circles, but everywhere. Men wanted to be me. Women wanted to know my story. Podcasts. Interviews. Endorsements. And Scott? He saw it. I know he saw it. Because that night, he left me a voicemail. His voice was raw, slurring. "You think you're better than me now? You think I'm scared? You think just because you've got fists and fans, you can erase what we had? You don't know what I've got in me, Alex. You don't know what I'll do." He was right about one thing. I didn't know, but I was about to find out. It happened on a Wednesday, middle of the week. Nothing special. Just another bruised evening, sweat still clinging to my skin from the gym, steam rising off my body in the cold. I stopped at the corner store. Bought water. Protein bar. Walked back to my truck. The second I turned the key in the ignition, the cab filled with smoke. I dove out just before the dashboard exploded. Heat flashed behind my back, tossed me onto the pavement like a rag doll. My ears rang. My shoulder screamed. The sky spun. But I was alive. Barely. People ran toward the flames, shouting. Sirens howled in the distance. But all I heard was one thing. Scott. The fire report confirmed it. Arson. An improvised incendiary device. Not sophisticated, but enough to kill a man if he didn't get lucky. The cops took a statement. Asked if I had enemies. I laughed. Yeah, I said. But this one's personal. I didn't give them a name. Didn't want them interfering. This wasn't justice. This was war. Gus found me the next day. You good? He asked, watching me wrap my ribs with duct tape. I will be. I told you that guy was spiraling. You gonna wait till he shoots you too? I looked up at him. Calm. Clear. No more waiting. Gus exhaled through his nose. Pulled a folded note from his jacket. Then here. Last known location. But if you go, you better finish it. No half measures. I nodded. There weren't going to be any. Scott was holed up in an abandoned farmhouse 20 minutes outside of town. Middle of nowhere. No neighbors. No cops. Just rotting wood, broken windows, and ghosts. I got there just before midnight. Rain spitting down like the sky was trying to scrub the world clean. I parked half a mile away. Walked the rest. Boots silent on wet ground. I entered through the back. Found him in the kitchen, bottle in one hand, pistol in the other, sitting in the dark with a crooked smile like he'd been waiting all night just for me. Took you long enough, he said. I stepped forward. Slowly. You tried to kill me. He snorted. You killed yourself. The second you thought you could live without all of us. You think you're some goddamn hero now? Some vigilante with a fan club? I said nothing. He stood, gun loose in his hand. I made you, he spat. Back in college, when you were nothing. I pulled you into the crew. I gave you a seat at the table. You pulled me into a world of snakes, I said. And you laughed when they bit me. He raised the gun. My heart didn't even race. He shook, fingers twitching, but his eyes didn't hold the fire anymore. Just ashes. He couldn't do it. And he knew it. Pull it, I said. Or put it down. Silence. Then the gun dropped. Clattered against the cracked tile. He collapsed into the chair, head in his hands. I don't know who I am without the game, man, he whispered. I thought you'd come back for revenge. But you don't even look at me like I'm worth it. I walked over, picked up the gun, unloaded it. Then I leaned in close and said the last thing I would ever say to him. You were right. You're not. After I left Scott in that crumbling house, the road stretched empty for miles. No music, no phone, just the low hum of the engine and the weight of everything I hadn't said. There was no satisfaction, no movie-ending vengeance, no high five from fate for walking away instead of putting a bullet in him. There was just silence, and silence, I'd learned, could be louder than any scream. A week passed, then another. The fight scene called. Promoters, sponsors, even ESPN wanted to know who the quiet man really was. But I didn't return their calls. I needed time. Real time. Time to figure out if the man I'd become was one worth living with. I drove to the coast. A place no one knew me. Rented a small place above a bait shop. Sea salt in the air. Wind that didn't ask questions. I ran every morning. Trained in a rusted-out shed behind the shop with nothing but a sandbag and a mirror. The reflection looked different now. Not just harder, older, sharper around the edges. But something else too. Something behind the eyes. Peace. Maybe. One morning, I found a letter in the mailbox. No return address. Just my name. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Handwritten. Familiar. Diane, you probably won't read this. But I wanted you to know something. I saw your fight. The one where you looked into the camera and said you became who you are because of what we did to you. You're right. We failed you. I failed you. But you didn't let it break you. You became someone more. And I hope, wherever you end up, that you find a version of love that doesn't come with knives behind the smiles. I read it twice. Then I burned it. Not out of anger, but because I didn't need her words anymore. I didn't need anyone's permission to be whole. Some nights, the ghosts still come. Scott's voice in the wind. Diane's laugh down empty roads. Ben's betrayal tucked into the space between heartbeats. But ghosts can't hurt you if you stop letting them in. So now, When they knock, I leave the door shut. I got other things to build. A new life. A new fight. Maybe not in a cage this time, but inside myself. One day, I'll step back into the spotlight. Maybe under real lights this time. Maybe I'll put gloves on again and show the world that what I became wasn't a fluke. It was earned. But for now, I rise with the sun. I breathe deep. I stand in front of the mirror. And I smile. Not because I'm happy, but because I'm free.